All right. Welcome, everyone, to Ladies Night, episode 13. We've already put 13 of these under our belt, which is exciting. I am your host, Melissa Sage-Bollenbach, and I am joined tonight by two fantastic ladies, my co-host, Kristina Airdo, and our wonderful special guest, Chrystal O'Keefe. Chrystal, you just do it all. I don't know. Like, I was like, how do we introduce her? I'm like, well, she podcasts, she writes, she recaps, she tweets,
she does it all.
Yeah, you just do it all. So our wonderful watchers / listeners, of course, should recognize you from visiting Dugout and what you do at Sox Populi and Soxy Chicks. And yeah, so we're just really thrilled that you were willing to join us tonight in balancing all of these cool things that you do. So thank you for coming on.
Thank you for having me. I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I feel like I do every other podcast in the world. So this was fun to actually do this one for a change.
Yeah, just have some girl time, chat time. Well, I kind of like to break it up into really two components. The first one, like getting to know like you and your journey and like becoming a female in this arena of doing all of this content creation. And then also that we have to talk about, we're losing already tonight. So we have to talk about our beloved White Sox as well. So, but let's kick it off by just talking about your journey and like how you got here into content creation. Was it something like, as you were growing up as a young woman, you're like, oh, I wish I could be in sports, but didn't really see a way to do that, or just kind of fell into it? How did you get here?
So I've always been a writer. I've been writing stuff since I was in kindergarten. Like, it's embarrassing. Like, I wrote something about my sister when I was in kindergarten, and it made all the teachers cry. And they were like passing it around the school, and they called my mom because my sister had passed away, and they had called my mom, and they're like, Chrystal wrote this, and it's precious, and like everyone at the school has read it. And I was like, this is so awkward, but it kind of put me on that like path of just always writing. It was just something that I did for fun. I know when like 2015, 2016 hit and the elections were happening, I used to do like really snarky recaps of the debates. People loved it. They thought it was hilarious. And I was like posting it on Twitter, and that kind of got traction. And then I wrote about like just this feeling of hating the Cubs because I had been a Cubs fan previously, and that I had this just gut feeling. Actually, the day I got married, we went to a White Sox Cubs crosstown cut for whatever it's called these days. And as I was leaving, I was like, I actually hate the Cubs. And this was like a bad feeling in my stomach. Like, yeah. And I was like, I don't love this. And I wrote it out about how I kind of just have started to detach from that fan base, and I was kind of looking elsewhere. And my husband, who's always been a White Sox fan, was like, come to the dark side. It's fun right now. In 2018, it's fun right now. And so I wrote about that, and Brett caught it, and he was like, hey, why don't you do every other thing in the world for Side Sox?
Come and do all the things, Chrystal.
So no longer will you have a life. You will only be doing this.
Basically done with the Cubs then, like post like their World Series. So like you had gone through all that fun, and you were still like, yeah, I'm out of here.
I went to the ring ceremony and everything. Like, I went to that game, and I feel like it was slowly starting to sink in. And then like I left, and everyone was, because the Cubs won that game like that I went to after I got married, and everyone is at Sox Park, but they're singing Go Cubs Go. And I was like, I hate these people. I don't want to be associated with this group of people anymore.
That's fantastic. Like, I knew you started as a Cub fan, but like I didn't realize the timing of it all, that you'd actually like, because it would make a lot of sense to like give up on them way before they ever did the
way before. I know. Yeah. I'm
like the lovable losers thing, just drew out forever, right? And so you just be like, okay, I just can't do it anymore. But the fact that you like were a part of the fan base and like the super joyous part, and then was still like, it's just, they don't jive with me. They're not my people.
No, and I come from a ton of Cubs fans. I have a ton of Cubs fans in my family, and I've been watching baseball since I was a toddler with my Cubs fan aunt. And finally I was just like, I can't do this anymore. I need to just get away from it.
So did you ever wish, like being a fan from like a young, since you were watching as a young girl, were you ever like, yeah, I wish I could like, I don't know, be an announcer or be an umpire or be a manager or like anything? Did you ever have any thoughts of doing like somehow getting involved in baseball before you did?
Yeah, so I always wanted to be like a ball boy. I thought that was fun. And like I would go to a lot of minor league games, and as I got older, more major league games, I was like, that would be cool. But you didn't see girls in that position until, just the last few years. I feel like you didn't see women in any of those positions. So it was something where I was like, that would be cool, but I'll probably never do that.
Yeah, I had friends that did that for the White Sox too. And like we were growing up and I was a huge White Sox fan and everything. And like he had all these pictures in the dugout and stuff. And I was like, I want to do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But like, I'm with you. Like it just wasn't a thing for girls. You know what I mean?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. And that's like really unfortunate because, but I've always like looked at those people and like, how'd you get that job?
I know.
So since you've gotten involved and now you do a little bit of everything, have along the way, was there like some females that you like ran across or you followed or you looked to of someone like, oh, I really like how they approach this, and kind of like mentors or role models or that kind of thing?
This is going to be kind of cheesy, but when I first started being a bit more active on what White Sox Twitter was, and had kind of befriended Janice. Before that, I looked at Janice and I was like, she is so cool.
So cool.
She is covering all these games. Like she knows what she's talking about, and by the time she had covered the Lucas Giolito no-hitter, during the COVID years when she got to be there, I was like, that is so cool. I wish I could be like Janice. And so honestly, it was always just kind of her. And I was like, she's just the coolest. And she, like, it was one of those things where it's like, she's my age, but I look up to her and I just think she's so neat. And she kind of propelled me towards what I'm doing now. And now she's not even covering baseball.
I know. Her presence is definitely missed, but
yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
It's funny that you bring up Janice too, because I feel like when I started getting into White Sox Twitter and everything, like you and Janice were like two of like the main like female writers that I love to read and everything. And then when Brett had approached me, I was like, I mean, I cannot be as cool as Janice and Chrystal. You know what I mean? I was like, the wavelength is not on the same page. But that's, yeah, I'm really glad that I did. But it's awesome because, I mean, you guys do amazing work. I had a follow-up question too from Melissa's like, obviously you're started as a writer, you're a writer at heart. Do you like writing or podcasting better? Like, has podcasting grown on you more?
As someone who I feel like I'm always better typing upwards instead of talking, like I hate talking generally, but I love visiting Dugout so much. Like I just finished recording it for the Astros series, and I was telling him, I was like, this kind of became my baby. This is the third season now of it. And I have met so many cool people. I've got to talk to so many people. I've became really close friends with all of these new people now, like from just all over the place. And so much that kind of became a joke where like I plan my vacations around baseball games and getting to a new stadium.
Sure.
And it kind of became this joke of, oh yeah, I'm going to text this friend who lives in this city. And my husband's kind of like, of course you know somebody in this city. Who do you not know in this baseball world at this point? But I really love doing that. And it's not even the only podcast I do anymore. So I think I love it more, and I can be more creative than talking about how bad the White Sox are in an article.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, I get that. Me and Melissa, for like the last 2 days, have been writing about them. We're like sick of it. No, that's great though. I mean, I love visiting Dugout in the same way too. Obviously, I'm a listener only, but like I just think it's fun to be able to like learn too about other people and their fan base and how they feel about their teams too. You're not really getting the inside peek like, when you're just listening to MLB Network and stuff. So no, that's cool. I just was curious.
Yeah, we get stuck in our own little like
Yeah.
world where we think like we're the most miserable, We're
close, but
we're close. But like no matter, how good or bad your team is, you have those connections, you're making those like personal connections with people. And I think that's been a really cool part of this journey that we've all taken, is the new connections and stuff that like we've made. So that's really cool. How did you come up with the idea, Chrystal? Was there something for visiting Dugout that you were like, oh, you saw something and you were like, you know what I could do this really cool thing? Or
yeah, right.
Honestly, it was just, I was getting invited on to other podcasts. I know, Kristina, you will go on for Red Sox stuff too. And I had already had a lot of like weird mutuals with Red Sox people. So they were coming on and like they wanted to preview their series with the White Sox. And I was like, this is something I can do. And and they don't even talk to every team all the time. Sometimes they are just kind of silly on their own on the podcast. But it's like, this is something I think I could do. And I feel like at the time I had enough people that I could reach out to and say, hey, I could find A's fans. And I was like, hey, do you want to come on and talk about the A's with me? And it just became something that was fun, and people are like actively seeking it. People are still coming on, like people like Ed and Bailey who talk about the Red Sox, or like my friend Taylor Strife, who's in St. Louis. Like this will be his third time coming on this year. Like it's really fun. And I think it's just fun to hear from other people. And that was just something I wanted to do. I wanted a more intimate idea of what other fan bases are doing and what their struggles or successes are.
Yeah, and sharing that experience. So that's cool how it just kind of like organically grew out of chatting with a few different fan bases to growing into chatting with all the fan bases.
Yeah. And I mean, I was able to get like really big people on there. Like Eric Steven has 1 billion followers, and he's like the guru at SB Nation. And I was like, how did I land this? But at the same time, this is amazing.
So cool.
Yeah, because of the respect, that you've built over this, career that you've had. So I think that speaks very highly to, them looking and listening to all the things that you've done and saying, yeah, I want to be a part of that. So kind of then tying in with that, what kind of advice would you give to, women out there who are, yet to take the jump into this area, for whatever reason of being afraid of what would be out there? What advice would you give somebody who is thinking about it, sitting there thinking it would be something I would like to do, but
I will say it's definitely easier, even just over the past 5 years, to get in to this field as a woman. It's becoming more common, and I'm very grateful for that maybe somebody looking to do it now or in the future isn't going to have as much trouble as, even just the three of us have trying to kind of fit into this world. But I will always just say, 1, take up space. There's a very good chance that you know more than some boring guy that just wants to talk about fantasy baseball. Like, there's a good chance you know more. And obviously just don't take any shit. If you have to block some guy because he's being rude because you're a woman in this sport, block him and move on. Because again, you probably know more, and they are more likely to be threatened by your knowledge of the sport than actually care about anything else. So, take up space and at the same time, take no shit.
Yeah, that's great advice. I think that, it just can be super intimidating, and to be able to look at people like you and others to say, okay, they've done it and this is how they do it. And I think I can do it.
And you absolutely can.
Yeah. But sometimes hitting that, like, I don't know, for me, as my instinct sometimes is like, I just want to so bad, like, try to argue with these people. But then I'm like, no, it doesn't do anything. Don't argue.
I know.
Talk or move on or just ignore or whatever. But
yeah,
it's really funny too, running the Side Sox Facebook page. It clearly always says, like, posted by Melissa Sage-Bollenbach. Mm-hmm. But when people comment, like, they refer to me like as a him all the time.
Yeah, always.
They make the assumption that, like, I'm a him. I'm like, what's going on here? It clearly says Melissa. I don't
Melissa, and I know more. Like, just so you know, like, I still know what I'm talking about with regards to baseball. Don't be surprised about it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's so crazy. So you have 2 kids, and we know that your son Hayden just was honored with an award for high school for his broadcasting, which is amazing. Congratulations. So clearly he has an interest in baseball and broadcasting and moving that along. But how about your daughter? Is there any interest there whatsoever?
No, it's fun. She has no interest in sports. She tried to play softball. She was only there to hang out with her friends, not to do anything else. But we were leaving that awards ceremony because, again, he's a freshman and he got the award for outstanding broadcast TV student, and we were like, that's incredible. Like, you're almost 15. And I mean, this is a class with like all grade levels, but we were leaving and she was like, I kind of want to get into broadcast, but like maybe just podcasting and video editing. And I was like, well, that's cool too. I do a ton of podcasting. I can't edit a video, but like, more props to you if you can. So she has like some interest, just not what I do. She doesn't want to talk about sports.
She has your creative side, but not so much the sporty side.
Yeah.
Like, your kids are like a perfect balance of you.
She's a great writer. She's very shy, but she's a great writer. Whereas Hayden does not care to write about anything, but has just like this booming, fun personality.
I love it.
It's kind of funny to watch both of them do that.
Yeah, it is. It's like the perfect mesh of the 2 sides view, which is super cool.
Especially getting into it so early too. Like, he's already like on the right path, and that's awesome. So,
and in his class, it's like a dual credit class. So he can go into any college that has like a good broadcasting program, and he's already got, 20 credits or something. So he's going to like already be way above anybody just coming in for that program. So it's kind of fun.
Yeah, that's phenomenal. Well, and clearly they've seen you as a role model too. Like, I can do this, which is awesome. So, all right. Well, we're a little over halfway through, so we're going to take our quick break so that you can buy whatever they're selling you, and we'll be right back. Okay, we're back. So the second half, we get to talk about our faves. This miserable ass team. I don't know. I was really hopeful tonight when I wrote my game thread. I was like, oh, Gene Smith bump day. And then I saw like him giving up 2 runs in the first inning. I was like, oh no. So how have you survived and kept your sanity, Chrystal, as a fan, as a creator during this really rough past 3-year period?
Well, so as a fan, it's been kind of nice because I have other teams I root for. So I can watch the Mets, Mrs. Met. I can watch the Mets and be happy. I can watch others. Like, I love watching Paul Skeens. I love watching the Tigers. Like, there are other teams I will watch and I can enjoy, and they don't drive me insane. So I don't have to just pigeonhole myself to only watching this unbearable team. But as a writer, it has, the only real positive is that I've had to like really flex the way I write about this team and get very creative, because again, there are only so many ways that you can say, gosh, this team really sucks night after night. And when I cover them 2 nights a week and they typically don't win any of those games, you have to figure out how to say, well, this happened and they lost, and wow, this team really sucks. So it's helped me as a creative writer to actually dig in there and dissect each loss every single night. So that's been kind of fun. Honestly, it's challenged me.
Challenge, yeah. It's yeah. You don't get the privilege of just being like, oh my gosh, it was another great night. There were all these home runs. I mean, that's a lot more fun to do.
Yeah,
and it's easier to do for sure. But being able, and especially you being a creative person, taking that angle of like, oh, okay, well, I gotta really think hard, really dig really deep about how I'm gonna do this. Kristina, how about you? Like, how have you just even?
Yeah, I was thinking the same as Chrystal. Like when you're writing about them, you're just like going through the motions almost sometimes. Like it's like, okay, another 3-1 loss, or another, yesterday we were winning and I was writing about them and I was just like, all right, when is it happening? You know what I mean? Bryce Wilson goes out for a little too long and there it happens. So that's like, I'm writing about basically having deja vu and writing about the same type of game. So it's like, you really do have to kind of like look at different parts of the game or other things that are actually unique and interesting. Otherwise, like, who cares? No one's going to be clicking on your articles or wanting to read it at all. So, yeah, I think the challenge has like been helpful, but otherwise, I don't know. I like to I watch other baseball teams and just pretend that I can be excited about them just like they are. Like the Padres have been really fun to watch this year too. And even the Giants. So I don't know, like, just kind of got to find the fun part in baseball that is not the White Sox, even though I'm doing it every day.
Well, I'm envious of both of you. Like when I was like, I don't know, like very young teenager, for some reason I picked the Padres. So it was like, the White Sox. Well, I liked Steve Garvey. I thought he was cute or whatever. So I had like him on my wall and like did a little bit of that. But like, I've never been, it's like, I really tried a couple of different times to like start following another team, and my gosh darn it, I can't do it.
It's more like the players. Like I find players that I really like. And so it's like, it's easy to watch the Dodgers because one, I'm going to get good baseball. And also I get to watch like Shohei and actual generational talent. So it's like, it's almost like hate watching, at the same time, but like, I'm with you. I can't like get fully in, but it's like, I can get in enough where I'm like, okay, well, at least I can be entertained and not like sad when I'm watching my team.
Growing up, I was madly in love with Tim Lincecum, and we are very.
Oh my God, I love.
So I was a Giants fan for quite some time, watching them, and it's very easy. I mean, I've liked the Mets for several years now, and now that they're like really fun and good, it's been nice where I can just completely check out and just watch Pete Alonso hit a home run instead.
He's been so like clutch this year too. Like at least you have the Mets. I love that. My fantasy team also loves Pete Alonso. So
then that's funny that you brought fantasy up, Kristina, because that is one thing. My family, we started one. We've got a very small fantasy group, but that has helped. Fun looking at the setting your lineup and everything. I found myself enjoying that more than I thought. Because at first I thought, oh God, this is just going to be a lot more work. Like I don't need more work. I don't need anything else to do in my life. But it's actually been fun, and to talk smack with people about your team and stuff like that. So although I'm in last place right now in that too, so I went from best to worst. I won our thing last year, and now I'm the worst. So
that'll happen.
So is there anybody on the team so far this year, Chrystal, that like you have been excited about following?
I mean, the pitching is fun. I do think, despite losing so many of these games, and obviously Martin Perez going down was a very huge blow, but I have enjoyed like the Sean Burke and the Shane Smiths, and I've enjoyed the starting rotation for what it is, and they can be pretty good. I mean, they can keep games pretty low scoring, which is a bonus. I also just love Brooks Baldwin, and I hope that he can be great. He looks and reminds me so much of my son because I look at him and I'm like, I could be your mother.
Yeah, he looks like everybody. Like I've like
He is a baby.
people come
Yeah.
in my house and they see the game on and they're like, that guy looks like he's 12.
Yeah, he looks like my son, who is almost 15. So I see him and I see Hayden so much. So I enjoy just watching him. But I mean, yeah, like Davis Martin and Shane Smith and Sean Burke, they're fun to watch. And I have some hope with them.
I was gonna say, do you see the path? Do you feel like, yes, I see what they're trying to do? Or are you like, yeah, nope, it's not gonna happen?
The only time I see any kind of path is once Jerry is 6 feet under. That's the only path I think that I will finally get the bigger picture and think, okay, maybe they can do something, is when he is long gone. And as long as like his family doesn't take over, I think there will be hope. But again, all these guys are probably, I mean, I think Jerry's going to probably live forever. So, I mean, Davis Martin is going to be like 45 and they're still going to be really bad.
Nick Nastrini making his 6,000th start for the AAA Charlotte Knights.
42-year-old Nick Nastrini.
And it's almost like probably every single guest we've had on have asked that question. It seems where it's come around to it goes to the ownership issue, and that's really frustrating because we have zero control over that aspect. All we can do is just sit here and wait, and that's, I don't know.
And I will say, I love Will Venable. I think that Will has been a great addition. And I've said this before, like on just kind of the Mothership podcast, I think the vibes have shifted. And I do think players are having a bit more fun, even in these kind of close losses and even sometimes blowout losses. Like it seems like the culture is better with Will. And he was kind of my pick. If they weren't going to go with Grady, then I wanted it to be Will. So like that direction I'm on board with. And I feel like the pitching is getting there. And so like there are bits and pieces where I feel like it's actually clicking. But while you have, this front office and this administration it's never going to make those big steps that we actually need to take for this team to be any good.
Yeah, and I just scratch my head. I feel like there's still so many like mixed messaging going on. Yesterday you had the whole Colson Montgomery thing, and like, oh, we got to send Colson and focused on him and his development, and it's super important and whatever. And then you just see them just like Andrew Vaughn just playing out there, like, and you're like, that just doesn't make sense. If you're like, this guy, clearly something's going on and we're concerned and we're going to do X, Y, and Z to help him. And then you have a guy who is Major League struggle bus. Big time Major League struggle bus. And they just keep running them out there every night. And sure, maybe, behind the scenes, I'm sure they're doing things, but that's not working. No. So to me, it just seems, I just get very confused on like, okay, we're going this route with this person, but then this person, and I find myself going, I don't get it.
Yeah, I know. Like you had asked Chrystal, like, are you on board kind of like with the way that they're progressing? Like, what even is the plan? You know what I mean? Like, what is the plan? Every day the lineup goes out and I'm like, what is this? Like, does it really matter where they're at? Like, no, probably not right now. Like, they're not going to win many games, but like, what is happening? What are we doing? Why is Brooks Baldwin in the outfield? Like, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that.
Yeah.
I'm with you.
Get the plan. Like for a couple days, you'll see some things. You're like, okay, maybe.
Yeah.
And then the next day you're like, we're using an opener for how many games in a row? Like, oh
my gosh. Yeah, I know. Like MLB's telling me one person's starting the game and then I turn on the TV and someone else is starting the game. I'm like, why are we doing this 1 inning BS again? Like, I mean, at the same time, nothing else is working. So like, sure, try it. Like,
I mean, I have the game over on over here on mute, like on the other side of my screen, and they just had the bases loaded with no outs and only scored a single run.
Yeah.
Um,
And you had touched on it, Chrystal, with saying like there certain things are clicking and like they are clicking, but they never click at the same time. Or it's like one thing is clicking on one day and then like they also just don't have any depth. You know, it's like no one can hit. So they get in these situations where they get all these runners on base and then it's like, okay, strike out or whatever, pop out, whatever happened. It's, you know, the White Sox way.
Yeah. And then we're just going to keep throwing this hodgepodge group of veterans out there.
Yeah.
Who, again, you're like, why? We're not winning. And I don't know. It doesn't seem like they're bringing that much in terms of leadership or whatever. It's like, come on, so yeah, it's just all over the place. It just doesn't feel like there's a plan.
Yeah.
Oh, so that's probably a great note to end on. There's no plan. It's just what it is. And we're just going to keep talking about it and coming up with creative ways to talk about it and find joy in it in the small ways that we can. And that's our plan. Well, thank you so much, Chrystal, for joining us. It was really fun. I mean, I feel like I've been working with you for a while, but I learned some new things about you even tonight that I didn't know.
Yeah. Thanks, Chrystal.
Of course, I liked it.
Well, listeners, we will be back again at it next time, and we'll see you then.
Bye.